Sahana bhavatu, sahanau punattu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Last time we started the topic of Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is converting our emotions towards the Lord. That means towards something higher. That's what it's about. Now, many people believe that, or let's not put it as many people believe, let us say that people have made it a habit to go to the temple or church or mosque, to remember God, to ask for getting something or for preserving something. This is what is happening most of the time. All the intercessions, all the prayers, all the rituals, and then they give you specific things also. If you want this, then you should do this prayer. And so that is the Bhakti Yoga. It is obviously allowed by religion because all religions make you do that. And yet it is not, what should I say, Bhakti Yoga in any sensible, not sensible. I don't know what word to use. I don't want to make it sound bad. It's not like any desire for spiritual growth. So we seem to have a dichotomy that all the religions, all of them, not one of them, all of them will send you off. They go to the dargah. All Indians are very fond of going to dargahs. Dargah, I don't know if you know Madeline, but dargahs are the Muslim places of prayer, and all the Indians go there. Now, why do all the Indians go there? Because it is believed that if you put a chadar on a particular dargah, then you will get whatever your wishes fulfilled. Same thing, there is a church here near where I stay at Bandra called Mount Mary. And when it is the feast of Mount Mary or the festival, whatever it is, you can't walk on the street, you can't drive across it, chaos. Then there's another temple here, Siddhi Vinayak. People walk barefoot and go. You might think I'm doing advertising for all the wish-fulfilling deities, but the whole, I mean, people come from all over the world to these places. They actually come for this. So would we include this in Bhakti? So now watch what is happening here. Just for our understanding, okay? We are not here to praise anybody. We're not here to criticize anybody. We are only here to understand what's going on. So what is going on in our life? Bhajagovindam told us, right? What is going on in our life? What did Bhajagovindam say?
Acquisition and enjoyment.
Very good. Oh, you had attended Bhajagovindam, Madeline, to have such a specific knowledge of it. Yeah, okay, great. So correct. Kanchana and Kamani, acquisition and enjoyment. That's all we want, basically. Nobody wants anything else. Okay, this is the animal instinct in all of us. We want to get something, we want to enjoy something. This is the fundamental, most basic thing. And everybody spends their life doing this. Now you tell a person, don't do this. Is he going to listen to you? He's going to say, go jump. Because what he wants is to acquire something or to enjoy something, usually both. You can't go around telling people don't do this. So what can you do now? You understand the consequences of living life like this. Everybody's living life like this. Now you want to bring about social change. What will you do? You will tell these people so interested in acquisition and enjoyment, come to the spiritual path, it will give it to you. Come to Mount Mary, you will be able to enjoy something, whatever you want to enjoy, you'll be able to acquire whatever you want to acquire. Come to Siddhi Vinayak. Siddhi Vinayak, Siddhi means success. So Siddhi Vinayak means Ganesha who will give success. He's the god of success. So he will give you success. So people walk barefoot over there. Doing all sorts of tapas in the hope of pleasing Lord Ganesha and getting that success. So what is happening in these things is they are converting a person not interested in spiritual life to think about the divinity in some way or manner. So what is that way of manner? What interests them, which is acquisition and enjoyment. So you're merely converting. Now, having made that conversion, okay, so you trick the guy into coming to your temple or church or mosque. Now what do? Now you tell him, stop begging like this. God knows what he's doing. You don't tell God what to do. So this is how they try to make us grow step by step. First, they have to get you there. First, the advertising program. Come there. Even if we have a 1-year diploma course, Vedanta and leadership. What Vedanta and leadership? All marketing gimmicks. But why do you say this? So that you get people. Nobody's going to listen to it. So leadership. Oh, less interest in Vedanta, more interest in leadership. Having a retreat in France. Everybody who's not French is more interested in the excursions at the retreat than what is the retreat about. So whatever, this is all marketing gimmicks going on. Okay, why do you have to go to France and have a retreat? The thing is that you have to attract the mind. Otherwise, the mind is not going to listen. And so the religious prophets, the masters, the savants, what they did was they said, come to God, God will fulfill all your desires. Now you have another problem. These were the great souls. Did they tell us lies? They told us that God will fulfill all your desires. And actually, there's no such thing. God is not fulfilling your desires. Please, you fulfill them yourself or it's not happening. Then why do they say that God will do it? Why do they trick us like this? They're not tricking us. The thing is, if you are able to channelize at least some part of your mind towards the higher, the mind will go calmer. And when the mind goes calm, your intellect will be able to acquire or enjoy whatever it is in the world you want. Therefore, God is supposed to be the fulfillment of all desires. It is exactly like saying the fulfillment of all childish desires is the growth into being a teenager. You will have a million childhood desires. I want this doll, I want that dinky car, I want this Ludo and snakes and ladders. So many games you had as a child. When did you achieve fulfillment of all desires? When you became a teenager. So what is the fulfillment of desires? It is growth into a higher dimension. So when you say you're going to be fulfilled with all desires, basically it means that since you've escalated to the higher, the lower has fallen off. That is what it means. But we choose not to understand it like that, and therefore we convert it into what we convert all spiritual life, all devotional life into an act of beggary, into an act of superstition, into an act of mechanical ritual. Almost everybody every morning has some ritual that they do for the remembrance of the divinity. Somebody may say the Lord's Prayer, somebody may say the Gayatri Mantra, somebody may do the Namaz, different people will do different things. They may read something from the Torah, something from whatever, do a Shiva chant. Everybody is inculcated from childhood to do some religious rituals. So parents put it into you. Especially if you were born in India, your parents would have put some kind of ritual into you. I don't know how it is in the Western world, but I will assume over there that, that it has reduced considerably. But if you go back 50 years, then definitely it would be there. As people become more rational, they figure out that, look, going to the temple or church or mosque is not going to get you stuff. You go work and that'll get you stuff. So then get rational, you figure that much out. Then they say, why am I wasting my time going to the temple? God is not giving anything to me, so why am I wasting my time with him? The whole concept is not clear. We do the ritual to remind ourselves of our higher purpose in life. We've forgotten that, and therefore convert that ritual into a superstition, into some mechanical activity, into some kind of beggary at best. Like, oh God, take care of me. Oh God, do this. Oh God, do that. So religion is not against you doing this kind of thing, but religion is not meant for this kind of thing. Is that clear? Concept is clear. Okay, I'm going to just repeat it. Religion permits these activities so that we can convert our interest in these activities into a divine sort of light. So therefore it allows it. But having converted it, we have to move away from the superstition of it, that, oh, you pray to God and God gives you everything. Yes and no, because fulfillment of desires means growth, doesn't actually mean fulfillment of desires. Because the true fulfillment of desires is growth. You cannot fulfill all your desires if you do not grow. So if you become more intelligent in your pursuit, you understand how this whole thing works. Is this concept clear? Anybody has a question on this concept? Now don't bring out anything else, just on this concept.
Jackie Ji,
Yes.
I'm grappling with the concept of fulfillment of desires is growth. Could you elaborate on this one, on this concept?
Okay, so as a child,
Please.
let's see what happened to us as a child. I got a toy. I played with the toy, and then what happened? I wanted another toy. The toys which I had acquired, I had this great feeling that they were my toys, and you are not supposed to touch my toys. Right? So I had this great need for acquisition of more and possession of what I have. All right. So this is how I was living my life. Now, I always wanted some more, and I was always very careful that nobody took my toys. Just as now how spouses are, nobody should look at my husband. You look at your husband, he's bald and pot-bellied. Who's going to look at him? So, we are all, I'm going to hold on to my things. Even when you come to Vedanta class, your spouse will say, be very suspicious. Where is my wife going? Where is my husband going? Holding on, holding on, holding on. Want to see what is going on. So, as a child, we did that. We did the same thing. We held on to our things. We wanted to acquire more and more. And we were terribly agitated if it didn't work the way we wanted, The way a child can cry. Oh my God, to see that child cry, it breaks our heart. What is the child crying over? One little elephant they had, and that elephant's trunk broke. The whole house will be brought down. And God help it if somebody other than that child broke that trunk. So how much the child will cry, right? Exactly how much we will cry should anything of ours break like that. Right? So we're living basically the same life with different toys. Same acquisitions, same enjoyment. Now, all the agitations that this toy world created for us, all the desires that we had for it, all our hopes and ambitions of gaining things in it, the fulfillment of all this is when we grow up to be a teenager. Suddenly, we're completely fulfilled with all these toys. We're finished with it, right? You're not seeking anymore, you're not preserving anymore, you're not doing anything. So, fulfillment of all desires is growth.
Thank you, I got it. Thank you.
I know some of you will be thinking, no, those childhood days were so good. We were not agitated. You've forgotten. Here, from where you stand, those days were very good. But that time, we didn't actually experience it. That time we were grumbling and complaining that my mom is forcing me to study, my mother's making me eat food, or some sort of grumbling we were doing at that time. Now we think, oh, those were good days. So people say, oh, very good in childhood. No, you don't know what kind of restrictions you lived under. Somebody was bossing over you. You had to constantly report to somebody. You know, my mother had a rule that I had to come home. When I was very young, I had to come home by 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock. To me, this was torture. Why should I come home at 6 o'clock? But that was the rule. And then when I grew a little older, it became 7 o'clock. And I used to find this entire thing extremely unfair. You're having a good time with your friends and you look at your watch and you've given a watch also to look at, so that you have to be home at that time. And if you don't, all hell will break loose. Did we enjoy any of that stuff? We're coming home, being fired, being told you're not going to go now until what's going on? And you are making a big noise and everybody in your house is making a big noise. It wasn't fun then. Now it is fun. We become objective to it. 25 and still have to. Okay, deep branch. Yeah. To stay with your parents, that is what happens. So you have to. That's why everyone just runs away and lives somewhere else. But the thing is, when we look back, things are enjoyable. They're funny. If you failed an exam, that time, how did you feel? And then today, how do you feel about the same thing? Now you look back and you laugh at it. That time your world collapsed around you. So don't think, oh, those were such happy days. Happy days. I mean, happy means for that person then, it was as challenging as this life is for this person now. All right. So,
Jankiji,
yeah.
so it is the present objectivity we have towards the past events that is making us feel that that was a happy period.
Yes, that's right.
Thank you.
All right, so shall we continue? First paragraph is clear. It means Bhakti Yoga means devotion. It does not mean prayer or superstition or beggary or mechanical ritual. And yet this is what is happening and why it is happening. All of it is clear, right? So let us go to the next paragraph. Who's going to read the next paragraph?
I will.
Please.
Prayer is not beggary. Moreover, mere asking will not help. Yet people make selfish demands in their prayers without paying the price for them. They want to harvest without sowing seeds, eat without producing. The law of life is that you get what you deserve, not what you desire. You are rewarded by your work, not for your work. Work performed brilliantly need not solicit any gain. The work itself earns the reward. The same law holds good in the spiritual field as well. People make selfish demands in their prayers, beg for favors, implore with tears, but the unrelenting law of life has no room for weak pity. So as we were just discussing, prayer is not a beggary because we cannot ask and get what we want. We have to work for it. And the beauty is that when we do the work without expecting anything in return, the work itself becomes pleasurable and gives happiness. And this is applicable to the worldly life and spiritual life.
Well, except that, Reshma, it becomes pleasurable and gives happiness. Pleasurable and happiness is the same, right? So it becomes pleasurable and gives
Peace.
Same as happiness.
Results.
Results, correct. Gives you a success. So prayer is not beggary. Beggary doesn't get you anywhere. There was a nice quote that was in an earlier edition of this book. It was, If you want something and just dead set, or pleading for it with both eyes wet, will not get it. Why? You try sweat, as my uncle used to say. When you want something and just dead set, or pleading for it with both eyes wet, on and on and on. Please give me, please give me, please give me. What is please give me? You do the work. What is the use of praying that you should learn Vedanta? Why don't you get up and study? You will learn it. Thousands and millions of people before you have gotten up, studied, and learned it. You get up, study, and learn it. Anybody has done anything, we can do it too. Just do it. See, the biggest sage in this world is Nike, because they've got the bull by the horns. Just do it. Whatever you want, just do it. You will get the result. So, work brings you results. Prayers do not bring it. What prayers can do is convert that work into some kind of higher dimension so that the mind calms down and you are able to be successful in your ventures. That's what prayers can do. It's a sort of emotional solace while you work. But if your interest is 100% in the work, why do you even need that emotional solace? The work is itself its reward. The seed is itself the tree. You don't need anything. It's simple. Whatever you want, work for it. If you work for it, you will get it. But if you work for it selfishly, along with getting it, you will also get
agitations.
Very good. If you want something and you merely pray for it, then this is the state of a
Peace of mind.
Beggar.
Beggar.
Very
of a
Beggar.
of a
Can you repeat the question?
if you want something and you merely pray for it, this is the state of a bhogi.
very
Lazy person.
Bhogi.
Thief. Tamas.
Bhogi.
Thief.
Thief.
He's willing to, yeah, he's likely to work for it. Of a,
thief.
Thief.
correct, of a thief. You want something without paying the price? The thief who wants to get wealth without working for it. He calls the Bhagavad Gita, as you remember, calls such a person as a thief. You eat without producing. This is the lowest level of a human being. What is that quote? Says that the darkest hour of a man's life is when he wants to get money without earning it. The darkest hour. Anything you want without paying. Eat without producing is the lowest state of a human being. Now you see why religion doesn't work. Because we are reducing it to the lowest state. Instead of raising ourselves to the high state, we are reducing religion to a lower state. So beg not for favors, implore not for tears, with tears. The unrelenting law of life has no room for weak pity. The great god Varuna was supposed to be in charge of giving everybody what they deserve. and could not pray to him. He was a god that was not prayed to. Isn't that very interesting? And the way the gods are formulated, it's a very, very interesting concept. Once we have a research wing nicely in place, we can do more research on that. It's a very, very interesting thing how it is formulated. The great god Varuna Indra was somebody you could pray to. But Varuna, he's in charge of giving punishments. You can't pray to him. The God of Moses also, you can't really pray to him. He is going to lash out in his fury at you. Because the God of the New Testament is a little softer and kinder. And then people say, oh, how can God be so harsh? God is so harsh means causation is so harsh. It is that harsh. You put your hand in the fire, it will burn. It is as simple as that. If you go and put your hand in a tiger's mouth, he'll bite it. As simple as that. So you don't say, oh, such a harsh thing. What do you say?
Cause and
So,
I won't put my hand in the fire. I won't put my hand in the tiger's mouth. I won't do these things. It's meant to teach us. The scriptures are meant to be kind and sweet and good. But causation is a harsh teacher. Very harsh. You do it, you get the result. That's simple. That is why the Gita is called Mother Gita, because mothers go on explaining. They go on telling you the same thing 100 times. But not life. Life, well, no, one whack you'll get. I don't know what hit you. So, beg not for favors, implore not with tears. The unrelenting law of life has no room for weak pity. Okay, next paragraph.
Janki-ji, so a harsh teacher for those who violate the law, right? I mean, a complete fair teacher for those who are in line with the law.
Yes, harsh in the sense it's not harsh at all. It is the reason we say he's a harsh teacher is because it has to warn us from taking erratic actions. If you go around taking erratic actions, no amount of prayers is going to help you. Now, the human mind, being what it is, does not always listen to good sense and good logic. So one of the ways that the scriptures use to make us do sensible thing is to use a stick, is to use the fear. Because if you don't put fear into the mind is recalcitrant. It simply will not listen. Therefore, you use this terminology. Everywhere you will find this terminology. They describe hell in such horrible ways. And so, why? What is this horrible description of hell? Anywhere, I mean, it's across the board, everywhere. If all of them do that. And all horrible things they'll say. Really horrible. In Greek mythology, there's this chappie called Tantalus. I don't know, Madeline, if I'm pronouncing these words correctly, but Tantalus, is that correct? Okay. So Tantalus is this chappie where he's allowed to see, but he's not allowed to touch. So that's where you get the English word tantalizing from. And that is what we will bring our life to. Imagine every diabetic suffers that, right? Last night, we had to go out to somebody's wedding anniversary. And that lady over there, she was very woefully looking at the sweets, so many sweets, Indian affairs, how many sweets there are. So she was very woefully looking at them. And her husband is saying she's got her sugar levels elevated. And she can see it, she can't touch it. And if she does touch it, backlash will be amazing. So, we will reach a position one day. If we are not careful, we will reach a position one day where we can see things, but we are not allowed to touch them. And at that stage, if we touch them, you're finished. You're literally finished. One man, he was told by his doctor, you have one more sip of alcohol and you will drop dead. And he had that sip and he died. One person was told, please stop having sweets, otherwise there will be terrible consequences. He did not stop having sweets. His foot got gangrenous. They had to cut it. He had a horrible bedridden life after that because he simply wouldn't listen. So this is the human mind. These stories are not about other people. These stories are about us. In another man's fate, I weep my own. Stories about us. So therefore, extremely harsh towards anything that we do not get correct. And as human beings, we are prone to not getting it correct. When we most believe we're doing it right, we're often wrong. So Bharat, go with the word harsh. It's better.
Yes, thank you.
But you're also right. It is very fair. That also is there. But we won't call it fair at that time. We will call it harsh. When the Mahabharata had killed all the men in the kingdom, who would at that time say this is fair, this is correct? This is the right thing that happened. When consequences come, very few of us say this is the right thing I got. Very few. So since we are going to say harsh then, we better recognize harsh now. Okay, who will do the next paragraph? What is the matter? Nobody is agreeing to do it?
I will read, Janki.
Please, go ahead.
Devotion today has come to mean mere superstitious centering of love in personalities, blind reliance on rituals, and unquestioning faith in idols and places of worship. People are attached to their own creeds, involved in their own sects. They restrict themselves to their particular idols and have lost the Catholicity of religion. The minds of so-called religious people are plucked with strange fear and uncalled for anxiety and vain hope centering around an unknown God. And they direct their desperate feelings toward holy bodies and idols, likes and rituals. Such devotion reaches one as far as those outward forms and places go. No further than that. Idols have no doubt a place and purpose in spiritual practice, but few realize that an idol is meant to reach the idol, and that an idol is not the idol. The idol has no meaning or purpose without an idol. It is a means to an end, not an end in itself. Not realizing this, most practitioners in the devotional path are stuck to their idols with no concept of idol in its stand for. A devotee may use an idol only to reach the ideal, but he must go beyond the manifest form or person to gain the unmanifest reality. So here he is talking about practices which are followed under the name of devotion, and doing all these practices, the minds of so-called religious people are plugged with strange fear, anxiety, and vain hope centering around an unknown God. Here he is also explaining the importance of idol and ideal. Here people are stuck to their idols with no concept of the ideal it stands for, one may use an idol only to reach the ideal. So one must go beyond the manifest form and personalities to reach the unmanifest reality.
Okay, very good. So devotion, you know this. I mean, this everybody knows, right? What is devotion today? I love something to the exclusion of everything else. Our devotion is nothing but attachment. Isn't that the definition of attachment? You love something to the exclusion of all else. My God is better than your God. My ritual is better than your ritual. The language of my prayer is better than the language of your prayer. Everything about me is much better than everything about you. Is this devotion? We have lost the Catholicity of religion. Even the Catholics don't have Catholicity. Forget everybody else. So nobody has it. If religion was a method of teaching us how to live, then it is not doing that job. And why is it not doing that job? Because we forget the difference between ideal and ideal. Ideal is a representation of the ideal. The ideals are always abstract and therefore difficult to conceive. Why do such few people want to deal with Vedanta? It's abstract. They're concepts. Now suppose we want this to spread to everybody. Then we can't deal with the abstract. We have to concretize it. So how do you concretize it? You put a flag. You put some structure. You put a color. You're concretizing it. You put some sound, some touch, some smell. It's called brand identity. So all the religions have their own brand identities. Okay, one is green, one is orange, one is white, one is whatever. Each one has his own story. Why? They concretize it. Why are they concretizing it? Because it's difficult for an average person to deal with the abstract. Up to this point, we are fine. Somebody thinks green is holy, somebody thinks orange is holy, somebody thinks white is holy. Better to think the national flag is holy because it has all the three colors. At least Indian flag. So whatever it is, it's not what you have chosen. Have you chosen the moon or have you chosen the sun? Doesn't matter. Have you chosen the cross or the crescent? Doesn't matter. All of these are mere ideals to remind us of the ideal. The ideal is manifested. The ideal is unmanifested.
Nandvi, I have a question. We discussed that all these forms of religion, the worship and all of these were mere instruments to get people, the uninitiated, into at least thinking about God. So this entire system was set up so that people who did not think at all about God started thinking about God. And that's why the idol worship and all these tools were created. Now,
No, I didn't say that, Omkar. What I said was about acquisition and enjoyment. The belief that by doing these things, you will get something and enjoy something was allowed by religion because that is what people wanted. I didn't talk about the ritual. The ritual can be done by a spiritual person also. The ritual, the devotion, all of that. They will continue to be his tools because what is he going to use otherwise?
Okay, but did we not discuss that all these things are the temples and all these rituals are a means to get people to at least start thinking about God.
No, it can do more than that. It can take you to God also. The allowing of the beggary, that is what we were talking about, not of the ritual itself. Now, suppose you do go to the temple or church or mosque and you do perform the ritual, and during the ritual, all the time your mind is on the divine. That's good, right? Because all
Right.
that you need to do is keep your mind on the divine. How you do it is the material.
So it kind of reminded me of an incident that you had narrated about Ramakrishna Paramahans, who was so involved with the idol of the mother that at some point in time his guru Tutapuri broke the idol so as to free him from that. Now, I mean, Ramakrishna Paramahansa was lucky to get such a guru, but generally, how does one transcend this? Because the more one gets involved with idol, the more one gets into it. There is no way to break free.
You don't have to break free so early in the journey. You have to break free at the end. So the point is that you have to get involved in it, because by the process of getting involved in it, you are becoming detached from everything else. So of course, that is why it's also beautiful. Have you seen the pictures of the images of Krishna and how they decorate it? And I mean, it's enthralling. These images. There's one sect who makes particularly beautiful temples. Swaminarayan. The Swaminarayan temples, have you seen? I mean, you see them in India, you see them in America, they build them everywhere, and particularly beautiful. Because it's supposed to draw the mind. No, if it didn't draw the mind, suppose you had some horrible idol, or you go to Calcutta during Durga Puja, you see those idols. I mean, the eyes of the goddess and all that. People are so enthralled with their eyes, and they look at the eyes and they go into trance. So every aspect of it is supposed to be attractive. If you hear Upanishadic chanting, if you even hear the ideas of the Bhagavad Gita, you hear the beautiful poetry involved. You hear the choir singing. What is that lovely thing? Amazing Grace. Amazing Grace. Have you heard Amazing Grace? I mean, like every one of them is enthralling. And it's meant to be. Your mind is supposed to get enthralled. But the human mind is given to encashing love. Whatever we love, we start making demands from. We encash it. We encash the feeling. So as long as you don't encash the feeling, the being attracted is what is necessary.
Right. So does it mean that I mean, if you are attached to an idol, there will definitely be progression, and there will come a time when you will move beyond it?
I wish I could answer that question. Nothing is definite in this world, Omkar. You just have to keep at it. The human mind is an extremely creative entity. How many mistakes it can make, nobody can predict. If you don't believe me, you should have a staff member in the house. When you give instructions to your staff member, what they can convert it in their minds to is a work of art. What did you say? What had they understood? It's all inshallah. It's all Ram Bharose. Whatever you said. You don't know what you're going to get out of it. Literally don't know what you're going to get out of it. And the same thing happens with Vedanta teachers as well. They say something. What are people understanding out of it? Nobody knows. And that has been the fate of every prophet. Every prophet. Christ said, love everybody. This is my message unto you. Love one another as I have loved you. This was his message. He summarized his whole message and said, love one another as I have loved you. Okay? Okay. Summarize his message and he's gone. Now, what have these people done? They took to crusades and went around killing everybody. Arey Baba, what did your prophet tell you? What are you doing? Muhammad said, that which you seek is closer to you than the neck of your own camel. He was seeing all these people going to Mecca. But he said, that which you are seeking is closer to you than the neck of your own camel. Muhammad is saying, to which they understand what? All Ram Bharose. Ram Bharose, Madeline, means, how do you translate Ram Bharose? Ram Bharose means faith in God, suppose, yeah.
Trust.
Or inshallah, by the will of God. No. There's one Muslim chap we know, he often makes food for us sometimes. And he says every single sentence he says, inshallah, 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 inshallah. Every sentence he says that. Every 3-4 words he says that. It's like how, we say, he says, inshallah, like that he says. But the thing is, in his life, does he actually take it like that? No, these are just words to be said. That the future is unknown, unpredictable. We never know what is going to happen. Carpe diem. Seize the day. So don't rest, Omkar, thinking that it will happen. We don't know what will happen. We don't know how the mind will interpret. We don't know what circumstances and situations will come about. So all we can do is
Just
Put in the
do it.
work.
Work.
Keep
Keep
to it.
putting our effort.
Work.
okay, you all are close, go further.
Your duty.
Okay.
Morning study.
Reshma, very good. All you can commit to is your morning study. You can commit to this much. This much I will do. Now, rest, I don't know what will happen. This much I will do. Now you'll say, so, okay, I commit to that. Then will it be okay? Now it depends on how you do it in the morning. How can I say? So, if you keep studying, if you keep developing your intellect, there is a good chance that when the right time comes, you will be able to move your ideal higher and higher until you reach the highest ideal. And at some point, you're able to give that up as well. Okay, Omkar, sorry if it wasn't a very satisfying.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much.
All right, so next.
Jankiji, one
Yeah.
question. So for idol worshippers, the goal potentially could be anything leading all the way to self-realization, right? And so if one is able to conceive that high, why would the person need a tool then? I mean, tool of an idol.
Omkar, do you have that picture of, Brahman on one side and the 5 elements?
I have to look it up. Jankiji.
Okay, so do you all where is my Uttara? Uttara, can you draw it? Why am I not allowed to draw and you people can draw? This is unfair on Zoom.
What do I have to draw?
That? You remember the diagram?
Which diagram? I'm not very sure.
Omkar, you know how to do this? You remember which diagram I'm talking about now? Draw a straight line and then draw 5 circles next to it. Or Bharat, you have access to that image?
Is it in VT somewhere? I can search it now.
VT, no, I don't think so. Let's check. I don't think it's here. So, okay, can you draw one line with 5 circles attached to it?
I have it, Jankiji. Can I
You have it?
share it? Yeah.
Okay, great. Can you just share it with Omkar?
Yeah, just no, I'll make Kalyan the Kalyan. I can
I
make
don't know
you
if
the
this
co-host.
is the one. Yeah, yeah. It is from your classes only. I've just taken a screenshot.
Uh-huh.
Can you do screen sharing, Kalyan?
Yeah, I'm doing that. 1 second. Just once. Is this the one?
Yes, this is the one. Thank you. So, Bharat, thank you, Kalyan. So, see, look over here. When you are, the world is made up of space, air, fire, water, earth. This is the world. And the other side is Brahman. Right? So, when you want an ideal, when you want, the ideal is Brahman. But when you want an ideal, what do you have to do? You have to choose something from the world. The world which is made up of space, air, fire, water, earth. Right? You'll have to choose it from here. You don't have any other options. These are your only options. So when you are, when you want it extremely concrete, you will choose an earth idol. You will choose an image of Krishna, an actual statue, or of Rama, or of Christ, or a cross, or a crescent, actual physical crescent. You will choose a symbol from earth. And most people, when we say idol, think about earth idols. But there are water idols, you know that, like the rivers, like the water in the church, like the tirtham in the Panchamrit, tirtham in the temples. These are all water idols. Then there are fire idols, like the havan and the candle and the diyas, the lights, all of that come under the fire symbols. Then we have earth symbols, means fragrances, the unguents, the fragrances associated, chandan, the smell of chandan, the smell of camphor. All of these are the air symbols. And the symbols of space are those of sound. So when you say the word Brahman, Atman, Om, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namah Shiva, whichever one you say, we're saying it, it's a sound. These are your space ideals. If you merely call it the self, it is still your space ideal. Even by calling it something, it is still an idol. So every single spiritual sadhak will have to have an idol, because he will have to transact with something from the world. He cannot relate to Brahman, that X, whatever it is, directly. Okay?
Yes. So depending on the subtlety of a seeker, he will choose any of the 5 elements.
Yes. And
Yes,
also,
thank you.
the subtlety also, now that also very carefully we have to understand, because human beings are not so, what should I say, the whole path is not so so definite like that. Let us say that you are
Defined.
Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Sorry?
No, I just said defined. That's all.
Defined. Oh, thank you, Marsh. Not so defined. So therefore, this take Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Okay, so his concept was the actual idol of Kali. But as he grows, now he's used to that, right? That's what he started with. So slowly it will move for him also. He will also, though he's seeing an idol, it will become eventually for him also a thought of the law of the goddess. That's why he had all these images of her, right? Because a thought of the goddess. So, or Mirabai, for instance, she loved her Kanaya, right? She had a little Krishna with her, which she took everywhere. And then later on in her poetry, you see that she sees Krishna everywhere. So don't just say, oh, that person is, sort of holding an idol and therefore is gross. So don't do the reverse. Just a little caution there.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so all good. Shall we? Oh, we finished for the day. Any tomorrow? Yes, we have the